Hello. Thank you for joining today on our video about integrating technology into the classroom. The guest I have with me is Sara W. She is from Australia. She has been a teacher for 14 years in the Victorian Department of Education in Mildura, Australia. So you can Google that and check it out after if you'd like. She started teaching phys ed and health for grade 7 to 12. So it was all in one school, those grades. And then for the last 10 years, she's been in leadership positions, so leading teacher roles and vice principal and stuff. So thank you for joining, Sara.
That's okay, Katie.
So we'll just jump right into it. I'm just going to ask a few questions about technology and we'll go from there. So the first question is how technology has evolved throughout your career. So just like an overview standpoint in terms of the Australian education system.
Yeah. So thinking back to when I started, the main use of technology really was the internet and kids using it for assignments and computer labs throughout the school, so they didn't have their own devices or anything like that. So in the PE setting, it's evolved quite a lot over the years with the different apps, health and fitness apps that you could use within the classroom for kids to, I suppose, assess their own health and well-being within those apps and use different apps to video themselves and do biomechanical analysis and things like that. So, they're the sort of apps that can be used quite well within a PE setting. In respect to, I suppose, more in general, how technology has evolved in the Victorian education system, I feel like it's been very hit and miss. There was something called the Ultranet that was introduced, and it was meant to be a big collaborative platform where you could put your lesson plans on and you could have blogs and have interaction with students. And I would say millions or billions of dollars was spent on that, and it kind of failed. So it's no longer. So that was something that I think with the education department here, they roll things out sometimes without actually having things totally tested. And another thing was a one-to-one laptop system where students were meant to BYOD, so bring their own device to school.
Yeah.
And that posed challenges within different school settings with having the enough WAP, so wireless access points, and being able to put potentially 400 devices onto different networks. So that posed a lot of problems with being able to do that. So I feel sometimes, I suppose my experiences, I've had more challenges and successes with technology, with maybe different initiatives and programs not being totally thought out when they've been rolled out by the department. So
okay.
Oh, Katie, this is hard.
So that system that you're speaking about, is it accessible to the students as well?
Say that again.
Is like that system that you're talking about, is it accessible to the students as well to see your lesson plans and stuff, or was it just for like the teachers?
No, it was for the kids. So the idea was that it was integrated system that had collaboration with the kids, so they could have blogs and talk to each other and support each other, and you could put videos on there, and it was to be really interactive.
Okay. Do you have any technological apps and stuff surrounding like your grade submissions and things for students? Because we have different platforms here. What we use at the University of Lethbridge is called Moodle, and we can access all of our classes and like communicate with our classmates via that platform and like access our grades and the presentations and stuff for class, do you have like an online system for them too?
Yeah. So different schools in Australia or in Victoria would use Moodle. So the senior secondary where the kids go to after year 10, where I am, they use Moodle quite a lot. We use a platform called Compass, which is a student management system where they can access their reports. All learning tasks are put on online. They can look at their attendance and interact with their attendance. Messages get sent home. They can check their grades on there. Teachers can do constant reporting. So feedback's written on the Compass system, and that's where parents will see ongoing reporting instead of reports at the end of the semester. So that's evolved quite a little bit in that technology to be able to, I suppose, have more transparent communication with parents and with students, and they can generate conversations at home as to, where their learning's at and those sort of things. Where I am, one of the challenges was to really get parents engaged in using that. Where I am, it's a very low socioeconomic area where it's probably 25% Indigenous, the school. So to try and engage parents in students' learning has been a real issue. And there's probably another 15% that are EAL students. So when you've got parents who aren't literate in their own language and they're trying to learn English or interpret English, that can be a somewhat of a challenge. So trying to get parents onto that technology platform's been pretty tricky.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then just the last question here, because we are on a little bit of a time constraint. Just for like personal stories, I guess, of where you've incorporated technology in your class and the challenges that have come up with that, like for you.
Yeah. So, so I've probably seen, so like I said, I've used biomechanical analysis and things like that in the PE class with the introduction of one-to-one computers. So when students had their own laptops, it was trying to develop that into the classroom. I think one of the challenges with technology is that teachers having time. So you might go to a really amazing professional development or seminar in regards to technology and come back really excited in how to implement that into your classroom, but then it's about finding the time to then learn how to use that properly and then implement that into a lesson. And then when you've got, say, one-to-one, it's making sure that all the kids have the computers. So you might then have, 50, 60% of your kids that have got computers and then the other 40% don't. So what do you do? So you need to have backups, and kind of different plans in your head. So there's a lot of planning around it. And I think that's sometimes where, just with the time constraints of, in what we have in a day, sometimes that doesn't really work out. I have been in schools where they've had smart boards. So, there was quite a lot of money spent in the Victorian education system in I suppose, purchasing and resourcing schools with smart boards. And again, it's how the teachers are trained to use them. If there's no consistent approach to training the teachers, then I think that's where things have fallen down. And technology hasn't really been used that well. I've been in a school where there was $25,000 smart boards all around the school and teachers were using whiteboard markers and writing on them. So, and they were using them as whiteboards. So there's a lot of money has been put in, and then I don't feel like enough training, and there's not enough opportunities for training for teachers to do that. Personally, I probably haven't put as much technology into the classrooms as I would have liked, and I think that comes back to time restraints and being a leading teacher. Sometimes my priorities were more bigger picture things, and my classes probably ran themselves because of my experience, but it didn't allow me to look at new innovative ways and techniques to put into my classroom. I use like online books and things like that, and there was resources that the kids would get on with that, a lot of internet research. In the last few years, I tried to come up with a way that the kids could support each other in their homework tasks and assignments and things like that. And the best I could really come up with was Messenger, and that posed challenges because not every student had Messenger because, their parents didn't want them exposed to Facebook or Messenger or Snapchat or any of those platforms. So to be able to have one platform that every student accessed was a bit tricky. So we kind of got there in the end. I think some of the parents, like the kids went home and spoke to their parents about the reasons why they were having this, and it wasn't, you could have Messenger without linking it to Facebook and those sort of discussions. But and I suppose the other thing that's made that really tricky is in the last 18 months at my school, mobile phones were banned. So it took technology out of the classroom. So in one instance, it was really good for their learning and their engagement and less distractions, but it took away the ability for students to take photos of learning intentions and success criteria or homework tasks or notes on the board, which I, a few years ago, really tried to instill into the kids that it's a really good practice to get into so that they've got that there to refer to. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, and it'll be interesting next year because mobile phones will be banned statewide in Victoria. So I don't know what it's like in Canada.
For us, it's definitely unique to schools, like just the actual school themselves, like not even districts. It's pretty much depends on what their philosophy is, usually comes from their principal, but that's we've discussed a lot of the social media platforms in this class, so that's good that you touched on that. There's some good points, and definitely we have agreed with the challenges of like getting everybody to be on the same page. But yeah, otherwise we are out of time. Did you have anything else you wanted to add in terms of technology in the classroom?
No, I don't. I don't think so. Like, there's lots of different. I think the main thing is there's lots of different things out there. It's how we skill the teachers up to use that and the time that they get given to really resource it. And that's probably my experience. Is that's probably where it falls down a little bit. But yeah, there's some really good examples, and I suppose in remote and rural areas, or language classes where you can Zoom in and Skype and be part of lessons in different schools, then it's worked really well. But yeah, that's probably using more simple kind of video type things.
Yeah, and that is, for me personally, my favorite thing about the use of technology is definitely bringing down the walls of the classroom. In this case, it works perfectly. I'm able to have a conversation with you all the way in Mildura. So I like the idea of integrating like different cultures and countries together through technology in the classroom. That would be something I'd like to explore. But yeah.
Yeah, and if you're in a remote area and you have a class of 2 students, or you might have you might have one student but not a teacher that can teach that particular subject, then that's when it works really well, and you can collaborate and build relationships with other schools and kind of video into a teacher, or if a child's sick in a hospital school setting, then that works really well. So there are different ways you can integrate that.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you for your insights. Thanks for joining today, and I hope everybody enjoys.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good luck
Sarah.
with it.